Man, oh man. Welcome back. Texas Rangers with the Boys. We are the Boys, your daily Texas Rangers podcast by a couple of pro wrestlers who love Rangers baseball. And we want to thank you for making us the first listen of your day. This is your boy Kev, aka YBK, Kevin Frazier. We are back. It has been a week of weeks for the boys. We're back on video, first time this week. Haven't had internet till yesterday and able to do video recordings. But, hey, man, Rangers get some off days this week, most off days of the week. Might as well get extra off days for the boys while we're at it. But, man, we got a packed show today. Tons to talk about. Rangers are feeling like maybe, just maybe, that fire is lit. And we're going to talk about who's been lighting that fire in terms of obviously Corey Seager. We've got tons of injury updates, pitchers updates. Rangers make a trade. So a lot to talk about. But before we get into that, let me tell you where you can find me on social. Kevin Lee Frazier. That is Frazier. You can also find Texas Rangers with the Boys on social media, TX Rangers WTB. Don't forget to check out the website, TexasRangersWithTheBoys.com.
Yeah, that's just one word too.
That's where you can check out our exclusive content, but we're going to tell you about that a little bit later. You want to check us out here on YouTube at Chilltown Hoops at the Sports Fluent Network. That's all one word as well. Joining me, as you heard, as you can see, unless you're on Spotify, my co-host, the 300-pound animal, a.k.a. Bull. How you doing, buddy? Where can they find you on socials of medias?
Well, I'm doing good. First, congratulations to the little Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks will be going back to the NBA Finals after a win over the Minnesota Timberwolves last night. So Luka and the boys are heading to the NBA Finals. And even though this is a Rangers show, we love our Dallas sports. And between the between the Mavericks being in the finals and the Dallas Stars being a couple of wins away from the Stanley Cup, it's a big time right now, and the Rangers are being pushed down a little bit right now in the coverage of sports here in DFW. But we try and pick up that slack and make sure everybody's got all the news. This week has been insane between all the power outages and the hail, and we have had some kind of week this week, and it's the typical Kevin and Bull Memorial Day weekend, bro. All in all, we got one up the other night on Spotify when we couldn't get the video to work, and Kevin was watching the Ranger game, having to like click out of Bally's every
have to exit
just to get the game in the other night. So we wanted to get back here,
and I had to keep resetting it on my tablet. It was a nightmare. Anyways.
Yeah, we get back here tonight. We'll finish out the week, talk about the Diamondback series. We got one of those in already. We'll get the other one in this week, and then we'll finish it out talking about the Marlins coming up this weekend, and then next week, barring, because there's thunderstorms in the forecast for Dallas here every day this week. We had more bad storms this afternoon, so we're actually just really lucky to be doing this right now. And as we're able to do it, we'll get them out. And sorry about this for the people that watch on YouTube there at Chilltown Hoops and the Sports Fluent Network. But if you do want to catch Wednesday's show, you can head on over to Spotify or iTunes, whatever your favorite platform is, and you can find us on there, just the audio version from Wednesday night, and we'll get everything picked back up on Sunday night and get a Down on the Farm with the Boys show out, and work our way through the week next week, and hopefully not have nearly the technical issues that we had this week trying to get these things. The week before that, I traveled all over the country. We had no problem getting 4 shows up. I was in Las Vegas, Ely, Reno, South Lake Tahoe. Everywhere I went, we had no problem getting the show up. I get back home and I couldn't get a hold of Kevin to save my life. So interesting week here for the boys, but Tony and the guys over at Chilltown Hoops have been super cool about everything this week, and hopefully next week we'll get back to being as smooth as we always are. But if you want to find me on social media, you can find me at Manimal Bull on Instagram. Manimal Bull on Twitter, Manimal300 on Instagram, and both Facebook and TikTok at Bull Pro. Me and the little Manimal, we're going to tell you real quick about Matt Ward Pro coming back to the Southside Preservation Hall on July 26th for Ultraviolet Dreamers. It's going to be a hypothermia mania. I have no idea what any of that means, but I'm excited about it. So we're going to be back out there. We're going to have food trucks out there. As they get promoted, I'll start filling you in on which ones are going to be there. But I imagine Kelly Onion Burger will be there for sure. I know Starry's Ice Cream will be there. And there might be just a surprise return be there. I'm not sure. So come on out Friday, July 26th to the Southside Preservation Hall, and Ultraviolet Dreamers 2, Hypothermia Mania.
Hypothermia mania. Wow. Well,
They should think it's going to be cold in July in July in Texas, but I know that's not going to be the case.
No.
I've lived here a long time. This week will mark 30 years of being in Dallas, Texas for the old Manimal. So,
so a longer Texan than an Illinoisian.
Oh yeah, for the better part of a decade and a half now.
Love it. Well, as you can see, little Manimal decided to jump in. He's probably about to jump out. Let's update everybody real quick. American League West, Rangers hanging 3 games back right now of Seattle still. But that's not a bad deal. I feel like, again, the Rangers maybe turning a little bit of a corner. Houston had their chance with Seattle to make up some ground on them. Also, with the Rangers not playing as many games this week as they normally do. Yeah, they had a chance. They didn't take it. Cry me a river.
Boo-hoo. They blew a couple of leads too, so you can't feel bad for them too much. They don't feel bad when the Rangers were having bullpen issues. I don't feel bad when they're having issues. And, I know they probably wanted to take more than 1 of 3 from the Mariners this week, but they didn't. Rangers, basically, they stay exactly where they were when the series started, because both games that the Mariners won, the Rangers evened those out with their wins, and then a win and a loss basically keeps the Rangers exactly where they were going into that series. So Rangers will be 3 back going into tonight with Miami.
Yeah. So
Miami couldn't be on the schedule at any better time, especially with the Rangers hitting a little bit of a win streak and having a little bit of confidence and getting some of that kind of feeling of electricity back at the plate a little bit right now.
Yeah, and we definitely got to talk about that. But speaking of Miami, Rangers trade Sean Anderson to Miami. Might even see him over the weekend for some cash considerations. He's probably going to go out and have like a 2 ERA with Miami.
You never know. He's probably going to go to Miami and pitch some, though, for sure, because I doubt they're making a trade for him and not going to put him into their bullpen. He's a decent setup guy. Like we said, he throws so many sliders that you never can really get a good read on him. But a guy that throws a lot of sliders, what that happens to those guys is they throw a lot of cement mixers too. So if you're guessing right and you're looking slider and it's a slider and it's right there, you're gonna hit him. But that's every slider pitcher. Nobody's trying to spin one right there in the middle. So. But Alexander, cash considerations back. Basically what it means to me is that the Marlins didn't want to take the chance that he didn't end up clearing to hit them in the waiver wire. And, those are the moves you make right there to make sure you get the guy that you want. And Miami, they're pretty far down on that waiver wire too, because they've only got 20 wins, but there's other teams that might take a chance on that before them, and they didn't want to let Sean Anderson get away. And you never know, he may be a guy that ends up starting there for them because of their depth problems right now with injuries.
Right. Good point. Well, speaking of injuries, let's talk about the Rangers and some of their injury news. And we got some decent injury news finally for the Rangers. So couple of guys thrown in the bullpen. Well, let's first talk about John Gray throwing off a mound. So that's good news, right? John Gray's throwing off a mound.
I
don't
think
think anybody too concerned with John Gray. I wasn't.
I'm not 100% sure how bad the strain was that Gray had in his groin, especially as soon as he hits the IL. It was made pretty clear that they don't expect him to miss any more than the 15 days that he's going to be on there, or the 2 starts or whatever. So with Gray right now, I think more than anything else, it's just be as precautionary as possible. And whenever he's ready to come back, make sure that he's the John Gray coming back that we had seen all season so far. And you don't want to rush him back, especially right now with your starting pitching woes, you're still getting good starts from guys in your rotation.
Yeah. So speaking of rotation, Max Scherzer looks like he's trying to ramp back up. He threw a bullpen. So
Wednesday.
That's really positive, right?
I got to believe that it's pretty positive, because there was a time where we were talking a couple of weeks ago where we didn't know what the situation was going to be. At this point, Scherzer could be to a point where he's like, if I can manage the pain, I can pitch. It's not a ligament or a muscle or anything that I can do anything about. If I can manage the pain, I can grip the ball, I can probably pitch. So I think that's probably where Scherzer's at right now. And I think if everything goes well, like we were hoping that it will, that there's a good chance that he can start ramping back up and rejoin the team here maybe middle of June, and the Rangers can start looking at that rotation help getting here.
Yeah, get him back on some kind of timeline to see him coming back. And let's not forget, every week that goes by, Tyler Mahle and Jacob deGrom and Kumar Rocker.
100%. Yeah,
he's on the timetable with those guys. But for me, like anytime their timetable goes up, I'm like, oh, so that means Rocker's.
How about last night at Round Rock, Johnny Cueto throwing 6 scoreless innings?
I'm thinking he's going to pitch for this team. I thought it from day one.
It may not be. It may not even be as a starter. It may not even be as a starter, but they are getting
guys don't age, man. Those guys seriously age at a different pace, at a different speed than normal human beings do, man. I don't care what you say. I met a guy
on the island time.
Well, I met a guy from Jamaica when I was in Fort Lauderdale, and I swear he was like late 40s, like 50s, like maybe early 50s. This dude was 70 something years old. He looked, I'm not kidding, he was built like a 45, like a young, like a guy, like a really in shape 50-year-old guy, maybe.
Yeah. I got you.
He did not look 60 for sure. Like he wouldn't have passed for 60. Dude, he was 70 years old. I never seen anything like that. I've never seen that in my life. Anyway.
I know a lot of people whenever I tell
go ahead.
When I tell people I'm like 25 years in the wrestling business, they're like, "You're that old?" But I'm really not. I'm really not. People are like, wow, "You're 50?" No. Just got an early start.
Yeah, just turned pro as a teenager.
Yeah.
But man, like Cueto, man, I don't mind it. You're not going to probably see a ton of strikeouts from the guy, but
but it dances for him, and he has the movement of a veteran pitcher. I mean, watching him throw last night, I mean, it's been, it moves, and he can, command the strike zone, and that's just something that it can't be taught.
Yeah, yeah, I like the idea. So Spores, Josh Spores, World Series hero, he threw a bullpen as well.
No, he's going to throw a
Going to
bullpen
throw
this
bullpen.
weekend. Yeah,
Okay.
so at some point during the Marlins series, you'll probably see him throw a 10 to 15 pitch bullpen and see how his arm is, and then we'll go from there. And it could be quick to Round Rock or Frisco from there, or they may give him a couple of more days to throw a couple of more bullpens and go from there.
Okay. Now here's some more good news. Josh Young is able to resume all means all here baseball activities.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. That's the idea is right now that maybe late June, maybe sooner. So it's starting to move that timetable up a little bit, and he's ready to play. He's ready to get back out on the field. This is killing him right now. So I'm excited for him getting back ready and getting getting back in that lineup and producing there in the middle of the order.
Yeah, it's killing us too. We're ready for him to be back.
100%.
And then now we've kind of gotten through most of our injury news. Let's talk about some.
Hey, real quick, I wanted to talk about this the other day, but we didn't have a show.
Okay.
It was announced the other day that whenever Bruce Bochy was in the San Diego Padres farm system, that he had won an Arby's eating contest. Tell me what you think. I mean, does that surprise you that old 8 1/4 head Bruce Bochy, who's like 6'4", 250 pounds, he's just a big monster of a man. Does it surprise you that man could eat a ton of Arby's?
It doesn't surprise me at all. I just am imagining him like because
those a big arms, Montana, right?
Yeah, he's got those arms like little. Just anyway. Well, moving
on. I feel like that's the top 10 segment that we could have right there, like top 10 guys on the Rangers that you think could win an eating contest.
Who might be able to give.
Let's fly that in at the end if we've got some time.
Yeah. Well, let's go. So you can't talk about the Rangers right now, and really just the positive momentum. It took 8 games, but Corey Seager, man, like he's on quite the tear for this. Even for him, this is quite the tear.
Yeah, he is locked in like it's the 2023 World Series right now. He is locked in. He is having fun playing baseball right now. You can tell that he knows when he goes to the plate right now that he's back to where he was, and you can see it in pitchers, teams that are facing him, that they see it too, because there were several opportunities where they pitched around Seager, and how can you blame Torey Lovullo? He's seen it before. He's seen it at the biggest stage that you could possibly see it, and I can't imagine he was any more excited about seeing it in May either.
No, and it's like he's jumping on these early pitches. Early in the season, he was trying to do that. It just seemed like he was off a little bit.
Just a tick, right? Yeah, like he was just either out in front of something where he was cueing it off the end of the bat, or like popping something,
or hitting a 110 mile an hour line drive right at somebody.
Yeah, that just wouldn't carry for him. Yeah, there were a bunch of those.
He hit a few line drives that I thought was going to kill somebody, man.
I was worried the other day when he hit that one ball into the stands because it was like rolling right at a pregnant lady and her little kids and all that.
Was a laser.
It was like 111 off the bat. So it's probably still sitting over 100 miles an hour when it gets into the stands.
Yeah, man, he's got. It's his body too. Obviously, I've mentioned many a time that Corey Seager obviously knows how to work out. Obviously knows how to, prepare his body for a game.
The Mizarks would make fun of that too.
Well, whatever. That's why they're sitting at home, and he's a $300 million man. But also too, like his body type, he's like the perfect build because he's got the long arms, the long legs. He creates that kind of has that whip effect. The bat, it's weird how certain guys, the bat just looks lighter in their hand. And it doesn't matter how big they are. Like, it has nothing to do with how like muscular they are.
Yeah, because Altuve is the same way.
It's just like for some reason the bat just doesn't look like it's heavy for him.
Like, I mean, even like and I'll say with Altuve real quick, the bat looks like it's heavy until he swings it.
Right. And the bat looks like it's half his body. Like, it's almost the same size as his body. It feels like he uses like a 35-inch bat or something. But Corey Seager's on a tear. Can't not talk about him right now. You know, I want to see as far as like I'll pull up some numbers and just maybe throw some of those out there here in a sec. But
Well,
before I do,
go ahead.
no, sorry, I pulled up ESPN to kind of go and look at Corey Seager over the last couple of weeks. And when I did, I saw a picture of Luka and Snoop Dogg.
Oh yeah. Luka told that dude who asked him who's crying now last night in the middle of the game. And that was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. Like, I opened up Twitter to do show prep.
Yeah.
And literally all of Twitter is just Luka yelling at Snoop Dogg. I love it.
Oh, man, you know, more power to you, Luka. We've loved him since day.
The moment that the Atlanta Hawks made the worst decision in franchise history, I couldn't believe that at 5 the Mavericks got Doncic. I couldn't believe that the Suns didn't take him. Could you imagine having Devin Booker and Luka Doncic as your scoring tandem in Phoenix? That'd be insane. I mean, Ayton's already gone.
Man, yeah, right. Like, that's wild to think about. The Ayton's already, and he's a good player. I mean, I'll take.
Oh yeah, he doesn't match up with the NBA anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take him on my team. I figure we'd find a spot for him. Corey Seager, month of May, just the month alone, he's got 11 home runs in May. Yeah, and then if you're looking,
it was such a slow start. Remember, I mean, just such a uncharacteristically slow start for Corey, and you know, we were looking for every excuse, and really it was just getting that timing right to get himself back to where he was.
Now let's go back. Let's go for the last 15 days. 359, 490 on base percentage. So he's walking like a ton right now. 974 slug, not ops, slug.
Yeah.
OPS 1464. That's in the last 15 days. In those 15 days, he has obviously we know the homers, but 10 walks, 13 runs batted in, 8 home runs, 14 hits in 15 days, 9 runs scored. I mean, and then in the last week, it's just as crazy.
It's gnarly.
Yeah, 333, 429, 1167 slug, and a 1600 OPS. So
yeah.
Corey Seager probably going to win some kind of award this month for being as hot as it gets.
I would imagine that he would be the front runner for it for sure. We'll have to wait until that ends up falling, but I would say week and player of the month, you know. So he's on that tear that you knew that he was going to go on at some point. We've seen it last year at this time. He was on the shelf, so he didn't have the amount of home runs that he has this year. If you start to think about seeing him healthy this year and what his home run numbers could possibly be if he continues to tear the way that he's tearing right now, because really the tear now is just catching up for April.
Yeah, it is. And it's
and he put himself in such a rough situation. I mean, like those numbers that he's put up over the course of the last week, the last 30 days, whatever the case may be. I mean, those are numbers that were bringing up a 500 OPS. You know, and now he's sitting up over 800, and the numbers are going to continue to rise if he continues to just, rake the way that he's raking. Like he's basically, it's September in Vermont, man, the way he's raking.
Yeah. And, you know, the timing of this, I think, is the really important part to note, is that, you know, this is the Rangers. This is when they need him. And he's come up big when they've needed him. And again, I'd imagine that he's going to continue to perform. Now, the other side of that $500 million infield, Marcus Semien gets his first day off. I think it was in 386 games or something like that.
Well, it looked like a good day to give him a day off. You had one day this week where he's going to get 3 days off in 4 days,
Yep.
just post Memorial Day. I think the thing with Marcus Semien is more the fact that he makes himself available every day to Bruce Bochy. That doesn't mean that Bochy's going to play him every day. It did last year, and Woodward the year before used him most every day as well. After that day off in May. So, I mean, he likes to play every day, but that doesn't mean that he has to play every day. I don't think there was anything else. I think the biggest thing was like, hey, I'm going to keep you out of this game today. Don't wear your cleats. Don't wear you ain't playing, like that kind of thing. But with Seager right now, I think more than anything else, with Semien right now, it's more than anything else is just, making sure he's ready for the dog days and having as productive of a year as he can whenever we get through the end of June into July and August.
Yeah. And it's nice to see him get it. I think it's good. I mean, I feel like Bochy, man, I don't understand his methods. Like why, like, I don't understand like I don't like the details behind why he does what he does. But the philosophy makes complete sense. It's clear as day what he's doing. And I think it's great because I always think of like how knee-jerk we can be about baseball. And the truth is that a guy like Bochy like understands that like if we're gonna play we're gonna play 178 this year, like we have to think now. Like we're going to be doing that then.
And remember this. Last year in the playoffs, Marcus Semien was not a very good player.
Mm-hmm.
Defensively, he was fantastic. But offensively, he didn't really kick on until the end of the series with Arizona.
Right.
Not to say that he had four bad series or anything like that, but he was not, the most productive guy in that lineup last year during the playoffs. And, maybe Bochy's looking at it from a perspective of, hey, he played 148 games last year. He started every game. He played almost every game. I mean, let's make sure that when October rolls around, that Marcus Semien is the Marcus Semien we're paying $175 million to over the course of the next 5-7 years or over these last.
No, great. That's a great point. I think it's a great point. I think Semien has played a lot of games, and I just don't think it's a bad thing for him to get a day. We know he's game to play every day.
We know that. You know that. I know that. He knows that. Bochy knows that.
And it's a good week this week for the Rangers. They have played a ton of crazy roads games, 17 in a row, 10-game road schedule. Like they've had doesn't matter who they play. They've had a brutal schedule the first couple months of the season. We knew it was coming. And, them to get 2 days off, this is the first week all year they've had 2 days off in a week. And again, these guys make a lot of money and yada, yada, yada. I get it. You ain't going to hear me making excuses or feeling sorry for these guys. But they are human beings. We know this. And, that the fatigue element will play into every sport, period. So, for them to get a couple days off, seeing Semien get a 3-day week, 3 days off in a week, these guys getting to spend a little time with their families on a holiday, it might just kind of be a little bit of that extra boost that they need to really kind of start making a turn.
Right. And they're pushing in that direction right now too. So.
Yeah, the sentiment's there, right? Like it's like if there was ever a time, like it feels like that time is approaching that this team could legitimately be making, could be close to turn in some kind of corner. It feels that way to me. I mean, and then here we are against one of these bad National League teams that how it is. They just scare the hell out of us right now. Yeah. Well, hopefully the Rangers can do what they need to do against the Marlins. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But first, let me tell you real quick about our exclusive content. Down on the Farm with the Boys, where we cover all things Rangers minor league. This week we had anything to do the show. I guess I could have done it at Starbucks, but so we missed we took the week off this week, but we will be back with 2 weeks packed full of content. We'll have our top 10 players of the last 2 weeks coming up, and man, I'm telling you right now, there's a ton going on with this team in the minor leagues. And there's a lot to talk about, a lot of positive things to talk about with this team. And I can't wait to see who Bull has as his top guys for the last couple of weeks as far as Down on the Farm goes.
Till someone else does something about it is Josh Lobus.
Josh Lobus. So there you go. So go check it out on our website, TexasRangersWithTheBoys.com.
All one word.
Or you can go onto our Spotify page for the audio. It's just $1.99 a month for that. If you want to do the video version here on at Chilltown Hoops, the Sports Fluid Network, there are 3 different levels. I still haven't figured out what those levels are or what they cost.
One of them you can come on and hang out with us.
That is true. On the 3rd level, you can hop on here and you can come on with us. I want to say on another level that they can I don't think we do live, but there are 3 different levels. Check them out. At some point, your boy Kev is going to find out what each level gives you and how much it costs, and I'll tell you what that is here on the show. But Down on the Farm with the Boys, you make us your one-stop shop for all things Rangers, organization-wide. Go check it out. You won't regret it. Big shout out to our farm hands who stay faithful and true even during the power outage scenario. So, Rangers,
Right, so
Marlins facts.
Yeah, Dane Dunning was pretty good. Navigated through 7 base runners in 5 innings. Didn't allow any runs. Another really good performance from Jose Leclerc out of the bullpen. Every couple of weeks we're done with Leclerc, and then he just brings us right back in. Yep. He's like the Mucinix man. But Jesus Tanaka, pretty decent little run from him. I know that he got it to a point where that it was a little too close for Bochy there in his 2nd inning of work, and he went and got David Robertson to make sure they got out of that thing. And Latz struggled a little bit, but he was put in a position where it's a 6-0 game, and he's trying to throw strikes and gave up a couple of hits. Got a big double play from Corey Seager there in the to get those 2 outs, and then they went to Kirby Yates to get that last out just to make sure it didn't get any closer than it needed to be.
Yeah, I like that. I like Yates and Roberts coming in those situations for obviously like helping those guys get out of the inning. Yeah. Also like that since we have, the day off and you never know how the series is going to go, you don't want these relievers to have too many days off. So it's not bad for them to get in there and just get a little bit of work because these are our 2 guys. We got to keep those guys fresh. It doesn't hurt them to go out there and get a batter out. You know who else was showed up? Corey Seager comes out and drops a 2-run bomb. Big home run. I mean, there's nothing like walking out of the room for 2 seconds and coming back in and going, how'd they get 2 runs on the board? But you deep down knew that it was because Corey Seager just went yard. Yeah, I mean, I deep down, like I came in, I was like, oh, who's up? Oh, Joshua. Oh, Seager went yard. Yep.
But yeah, no, Seager.
The bottom of the order, 7, 8, 9 really stepped their game up in this game.
Yeah, I thought Langford had a pretty decent game the other night, or the other day, I guess it is now at this point on Friday. But a couple of hits, nothing special. But he did hit a ball about 400 feet, maybe it was like 325 or whatever out to right field or whatever. But it had some decent get up and go on it. So you're seeing some balls fall in there, and then you see a little bit of the power. So hopefully it'll work itself together there, and you'll start seeing some of that power show up. Heim had a couple of big hits, an RBI to go with it, and Zeke Duran, for a guy that started off really bad, he's really starting to put it together lately. And for the first time in his major league career, he started a game at his actual natural position.
Second
So that's the first time in his career that he started at second base. And if we remember correctly, Duran was a second baseman all the way coming up. But the idea that he's had the versatility to play short, second, third, left field, right field, first base has really been the reason why he's on this team. And you know, I mean, maybe there will be a day where he does play second base every day. But after watching his arm in left field, he may just start becoming one of them.
Yeah, why? Interestingly enough, when you have the reigning American League Gold Glove right fielder, who I want to say led the league in outfield assists last year, and he's got the number 2 outfield arm on the team. That says a lot about Duran. And I bet you're right. I bet you Leody Taveras ain't too far behind.
That's probably when you have Duran, Taveras, and Garcia in the outfield. That might be the best outfield set of three arms in the league on the field at one point, or that can't possibly be on the field at one time.
Like field a grounder, like a base hit to the outfield, field it like a grounder, throw it to first, turn a double play out there. These guys, man, just Zeke Duran, just scoop it and scoop it for second.
And that ball that Garcia threw Jock Peterson out on the other night, that wasn't a shallow fly ball. That ball was hit just in front of the warning track. I mean, he hit that ball pretty well. Like Jock Peterson should have scored easily, but he ended up, getting thrown out there.
Got hosed, man. Cool. Well, also, I think I mentioned that one thing too. We were talking about Kirby Puckett off air. We talk about baseball. That's what baseball people do. No real particular reason. Do you know why I was looking at what actually made him stand out to me? And we didn't even bring this up because, Wyatt Langford struggled a little bit with power. Like we've seen, the power hasn't quite translated yet with him, right? Kirby Puckett, his first 2 seasons, 84 and 85, he had a combined 1,200 plate appearances almost and hit a total of 4 home runs in those 2 seasons. 1986, he hit 31. So,
yeah. I mean, I don't think
is this with Langford. I'm not worried about it, man. Like it's too soon. He's doing such a great job to me for a guy who has spent like a cup. Most guys get a cup of coffee in the major leagues.
Well, and you see a guy that and Wyatt Langford that's having so much success in spring training baseball, and he's hitting guys, not just guys that are going to be bagging groceries and he was hitting starting pitchers. But you got to remember, in spring training, those guys are working on things too. They're not out there just throwing their A game to Wyatt Langford in the 3rd inning of a Cactus League game on March 7th. That's just not the way it is. And with him, he's seeing that electrifying stuff for the first time. I mean, we've all seen Kevin Costner and Bull Durham talk about the breaking balls, and how it's so different in the show, and like for Wyatt Langford here, he's learning how different it is in the show, and I think he's holding his own. I think he's doing an okay job. Now it's just about time for him to get a little bit more aggressive in counts where he's ahead, and for him to let loose and let the hands fly a little bit more often early in counts. And I think you'll start seeing the power. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to prove that he's a disciplined hitter at the plate. And a lot of those umpires don't care about a rookie being disciplined. And we see that. We've seen that 100 times now from all the rookies, whether it be Carter, Young last year, Langford this year. Those umpires do not care about your patience and how good you are with your plate discipline at the big league level. If it's close, we're going to call it.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, like, I mean, I don't even have that much feedback about it because in my mind, like, like Barry Bonds batted 230 his first season in the big leagues, man. Like it's just a rare thing to see an Albert Pujols, and he spent a lot of time in the minors. So like,
it wasn't like Pujols was
together.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
who else was in the minors since he was like 17?
those 8 or 10 at bats that Wyatt Langford had this past weekend at AAA puts his grand total up to now 88 at bats in the minor leagues.
What did he do in those at bats? Didn't he just launch? Didn't he launch one?
He was hitting the ball hard all over the place all weekend.
Yeah, so like, you know, Wyatt Langford, man, I'm not sweating this guy. If Bochy's sweating it. I'm not even going to sweat the stats. I'm not going to sweat the strikeouts, like none of it. I think this guy is a major leaguer. I think everybody knows it. And I think, you know, again, some of the best players that ever played this game didn't come in here and bat 330 their first season. So, I'm feeling good about Langford having 2 hits in a game. I like that he makes contact. He's not out there whiffing at everything. He doesn't look overwhelmed. And I think, again, it's just going to be a matter of time. And you might see double power and, you know, 20 homers here or something like, you know, 15, 20 or something start out. But I know this guy has 30 home run, 300 batting average, 500 slug. Like, he's got that in him. Let's just let this kid figure this thing out. So,
I was just going to say, let's put a real quick bow on it. Rangers win 6-1. That pushes them to 27-29, just a couple of games under 500 after a 6-game losing streak. They're now on a 3-game winning streak. So 4-6 over their last 10. So we're starting to get a lot closer to 500 than we were most of the week last year for our last 10 games. Dane Dunning gets a win, 4-3, nice outing, no runs, gets that ERA back under 4, and then Ryan Nelson takes the loss, and that pushes him to 3-4, and his ERA up over 6. So the Rangers score 6 runs. That's a nice sign. I saw a stat a couple of days ago before they had scored Sunday, the amount of runs that they had scored, that it had been like 14 games in a row where the Rangers had scored 4 runs or less, and that's not a stat that we ever want to talk about again this season. So Rangers score 6 on Wednesday, come away with a win, and they're heading to Miami with what we like to call a winning streak.
Yes. Rangers on a winning streak, heading out to that big, beautiful, air-conditioned stadium out there in Miami. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful in Miami, inside and outside that stadium, but it's going to be nice and cool in there. Rangers playing a team that I want to say is 20-37 going into it. I'm going to let you cover these pitching matchups because you do it so well.
Well, we got one. I got one here that I can give you for sure. The Rangers are going to send Jose Urena to the mound tonight. Urena 1-4 with a 3.53 ERA, but he's been excellent for the Rangers since he's been inserted into the starting rotation, basically by necessity. But overall, Jose Urena has been good. He's been a reliable hand when they've asked him to be this year out of the rotation. He'll be opposed by Sixto Sanchez. I think the last time we talked about Sixto Sanchez, it was because he came into training camp at like 300 pounds. He was like, now they've got him listed at 234, but he looked like he might have been close to 300 pounds there at the beginning of training camp. Hopefully he's got himself in a little bit of shape, but he's 0-3 with a 6.25 ERA. So, things haven't been going super great for him. He's pitched some out of the rotation lately, but for the most part, early in the season, he was a bullpen guy. So, the Rangers, they'll have their chance with Sixto Sanchez. He was a top prospect for a lot of years, but things just didn't quite go his way once he left Philadelphia and moved into the Marlins organization. And, where a lot of good young pitchers thrive, Sixto, kind of the opposite of that for him. This game's a 6:10 start tonight. Bally Sports got the telecast, and, the fans got the radio broadcast if you want to listen to Hall of Famer Eric Nadel and the guys over there instead. Saturday, the Rangers still haven't announced a pitcher Saturday or Sunday. So Saturday, in my head right now, I'm thinking that Gerson Garabito may get that start again, based on the fact that they've left him on the roster this whole week that he's been with the club, so I imagine that he's going to probably get a second start on Saturday night. The Marlins are going to go with Ryan, don't call me Carl Weathers. I don't know why I went with Chris Berman right there, but
Nice.
because I wanted to call him Carl Weathers in the first place, just because. But he's had a little bit of tough luck. He's 3-4 with a 3.16 ERA. You know, we love the 3.16 ERA here at the
He's a
Texas
lefty.
Rangers with the Boys show.
He's a lefty, by the way. I just got to put that out there. Maybe the
Lefty,
Rangers.
yeah, he's a lefty that doesn't give up a lot of base runners. So don't expect Saturday night to be one of those games where the Rangers put 15 guys on in the first couple of innings.
Yeah, what the Rangers need to do, that guy, is they need to go out there and have competitive at bats with him, run his pitch count out, run that pitch count up, and get into that bullpen early. Probably if they can do that against Sanchez and Weathers, then that's going to make for because remember, quick turnaround on Sunday, that's going to make for a possible series victory on Sunday and a possible beatdown if they can get into that bullpen and get those four out.
If Garabito doesn't get that start on Saturday, don't be surprised if Michael Lorenzen doesn't get that start too, because he just left the game with a cramp. It wasn't like he was an injury or anything like that. I imagine that Lorenzen will for sure get one of these starts between Saturday or Sunday. And you might also see the Rangers go back to either Nathan Eovaldi or Andrew Heaney for one of these starts over the weekend as well. You might see Garabito get moved to the bullpen to go off of the back end of Eovaldi or Heaney one of those days, or the same thing with maybe Garabito starts and they have Heaney on the back end ready for him again on Saturday or something like that, or Sunday. So there's a lot of options that the Rangers can go with. Saturday's game, 3:10, same thing as far as TV. You've got Bally Sports Southwest, and then you've got the Fan for your radio broadcast. And then Sunday is a national television for all you guys that aren't right here in the Metroplex that watch the show. The Rangers will be on MLB for Out of Market at 12:40 Sunday from Miami for all of y'all here in the local Metroplex, Bally Sports Southwest, as always. And like I said, if you want to listen to Eric Nadel and the boys, you can tune in at 105.3 The Fan.
Love it. Well, one of the things when you brought up Sanchez, I mean, being 300 pounds, I mean, if he's got 6 toes, maybe he just needs a little. It's just a bigger guy, big guys might have, 6 toes.
You could just support more.
Yeah, he's got more support with the 6 toes. So, I mean, 6 toes Sanchez sounds like a name from like one of those old westerns, like a what do they call them? Spaghetti western, Whoa,
old spaghetti western.
Watch out for 6 toe Sanchez over there.
He would
balloon.
Old 6 toe Sanchez. Anyway, I forgot to tell everybody Trevor Rogers is going for the Marlins, another one of their young lefties, but he hasn't had a whole lot of success, but at the same time, he's a lefty, so we'll just kind of wait and see for the Rangers. Maybe they'll get to a point where some of those guys in the middle of that order, like Garcia and Heim and Wyatt Langford, start teeing off on lefties. Maybe that'll.
Josh Smith doesn't really struggle that much with lefties.
No, not too bad. And hopefully, next week when we're talking, we can start talking about what they're going to do with Josh Smith with the Josh Young situation.
Yeah. What do you remember? What side of the plate Michael Lorenzen bats? I mean, maybe
I believe he's a right-hander, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe.
He's got some power.
Maybe. Yeah, he's a righty. Maybe we could get get Lorenzen out there a little bit, DHing or something, man. Like,
I know he put those days behind him, but I also know that from every interview that I've seen of his, he likes to still pull the bat out and make it pitching practice.
429 career slug.
I mean, I remember with the Reds, he had some pop. He was hitting balls into the stands and playing some center field and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't. I mean, honestly, like career 230 batting average, 282 on base, 429 slugs, 710 OPS. I mean, I'm just saying,
It's
you
not
know,
the worst. I mean, it's
I
a
don't
little
hate
bit
it.
limited in sample size, but overall, I mean,
No, I don't hate it.
I think what it's basically come down to is that Michael Lorenzen knows that he's a much better pitcher than he is hitter, and that there's a much better opportunity for him to make a lot of money as a big league pitcher.
Well, I wouldn't hate it. I'd love to. I was so hoping that one game when we lost our DH, I was just hoping, man. I was like,
That
man,
he'd get
I'd love
a
to see
that he'd get a
Lorenzen.
shot.
Give him a
All
shot.
right, real quick,
Yeah, let's do it.
I got my number one guy on the Rangers roster that I think could win an eating contest.
Okay.
All right, bear with me because the dude's a machine.
Okay.
I think Jake DeGrom would be the dude that could go in and win an eating contest, no problem, destroy everybody, look, and then just start licking the Arby's sauce off of the counter.
You think DeGrom? Well, DeGrom has like this really almost has a mystique about him, like outside of the game, right? Doesn't he like live on a? Isn't he like a live off the land kind of guy or something like that?
I think everyone assumes that about him, even if he isn't.
Right. Like he has this like off the field mystique about him. He
like an
kind of has
aura.
a Tom Brady vibe to me. Like, you know, Tom Brady had that really had all these wild, I don't know if you ever read like they had these wild Tom Brady stories where like he would walk into like a bar where all the team was drinking and partying. He'd go in there, drink everybody under the table, and walk out like he was sober.
Well, you know, that was always the Ric Flair thing, you know.
And then he would play like games, you know, like darts or any game that he would play with them. He'd come in and just
beat them all.
Yeah, wipe the floor with them and then leave.
Yeah,
like they never knew when he was going to
100% how things go when I go to party with the wrestlers.
And they didn't know when he was going to show up. It wasn't like he did that all the time.
Like, dude, kindred spirits, me and these guys.
Anyway.
I just show up and embarrass everybody. Remember that one time the guys were hitting the punching bag as hard as they could, and then I walked up one time and blew them both away by like 100 points.
Like 1,200. I think the highest before you came in was like a 900, and I think you came in and got like a 1,200, and it was just like, all right, we're done with this game.
A couple of years ago, we were doing the dunk tank at the one of the outdoor shows that I ran, and the kids were throwing the ball 100 times with the dunk tape. I said, "Give me one of those balls." I turned and fired and just hit him right first time.
Doesn't surprise me. After you thrown BP. Well, hey, speaking of BP, we probably should get out there to the DBAT on a Saturday because I feel like you got a prize for me from Reno. So maybe we can 2 balls and you know, for your troubles, DBAT will be on me this time.
I might or might not have spent all that money on products in Nevada. I don't know, but you know, I got more. I can go to an ATM.
Somewhere else. I'm pretty confident in that.
I can get to an ATM.
Yeah, I think you'll be all right. But no, as far as my take, so who do I think could out eat Bochy? I mean, you know, some big dudes on this team. Jonah Heim's a big dude. Nate Lowe's a big dude. But I think only one person has hold on. Michael Lorenzen's a big dude.
That's true.
Man, oh man. That's but the person I feel like for some reason I feel like it's got to be a pitcher. I feel like I could see Nate Eovaldi. He's a big dude.
Yeah. Very true.
He's got that intensity, you know, like the competitiveness.
He's got that Joey Chestnut in him.
He's got that intensity about him. My first instinct was Adolis Garcia because he's so big. He's not tall, but he's jacked, you know, so he's got a lot, probably eats a lot of food already.
You know who another dark horse for me would be is Evan Carter. You know, he's got that tall, skinny, all them dudes that are, you remember in high school, all those dudes that were 6'4", 215, they all ate everybody under the table.
Yeah. I remember exactly. That when you said Evan Carter, I knew exactly what you were going for. So it makes sense. Well, hey man, we did the thing. I was glad to get back in here and talk some baseball.
Definitely.
Don't realize how therapeutic it is until we're not doing it, and then we get back in and do it, and I'm like, man, I missed this. So you know, glad to be back. Glad to be getting things done on here, and
and I think for us too, this is a good rejuvenation week for us too, because we've done 4 episodes a week every week for, oh gosh, we're working. We had a Marcus Simeon like streak going. So
yeah, we did.
I mean,
Simeon did.
So it was a nice break for us too, but I think we had fun getting back on here and doing it the audio just the other night, and then getting back here on.
Yeah, it was like going back to like a throwback, doing just the audio. Yeah,
100%. I know I had to remember how to do everything.
I know. I was like, wait a minute, I got to count you in.
And I still screwed it up too. I had to go back and fix it after I aired it. So if anybody listened to it, they got to hear like 5 seconds of us laughing afterwards.
Love it, man. Well, hey, let's get out of here. Let's call it a week. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, hanging with us through. We haven't come up with the storm apocalypse or whatever we're going to call these storms of 2024.
Memorial crap weekend.
Yeah, the Memorial Day 2024 can good riddance. But yeah, so thanks everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to check us out on social media, TX Rangers WTV. Don't forget to check us out on the website, TexasRangersWithTheBoys.com.
All one word.
That is all one word, where you can find our exclusive content down on the farm with the boys. We cover all things Rangers minor league. Also one word, at Chilltown Hoops, where you can see us on YouTube. Man, that's it for the 300-pound manimal. This is your boy Kev. We are Texas Rangers with the boys. And right now we're signing out.